Hello friends, in this video I'm going to teach you how to work with the CRUD operations in our Laravel project. So this is a continuation of our gift shop application series, and in this video we are going to create the CRUD operation for gifts. So we will insert the gifts, we are going to see how to fetch the gifts, we are going to see how to delete it, and also we will see how to update it. With that being said, let's get started with today's video. In the previous video, you have already seen how we have set up the project, how we have installed Laravel and created a new project. Now we are going to set up the project. So for setting it up, we have already given a database name. The username and password by default is root for local systems and password is none. So that is how it's performed everywhere. You can, if you have some password or username, definitely you can give it up. Now this is our database. Since in my case, it is not created, but in Windows, I have shown you how it can be created automatically. So not a worry. I'm going to create a database here by create database name gift_shop and hit on create. So the database is created. I'm within that particular database itself. It's time to check the other stuff. So what are the other stuff? Let me go to the databases. Where is this? Database migrations, where we have these three tables at first, which is the cache one. We don't need to look into that. Jobs one also, we don't need to look into that. We just need to look into the users one. So if you want to add some data to the users one, definitely you can do that here. Okay. Or even if you forget to add it here, there is another process of adding it later on. Now, what we are going to do here is, well, I don't want to work with users as of now, but even if we go for migration, it will be migrated. So let me keep it as it is. I need to work with the gift one. So for working with the gift one, I need to create a database for that, a model for that, and then controller to create the functions there. Okay. So how to create all this with the help of commands in Laravel? Let me show you that part. Now, what's the command? Let me just show you. This is the command php artisan make. Then you have to just pass model. Before that model, you have to pass colon, which is very much important. Then the model name, I have named it as gift. Then -m. -m stands for migration. So migration will also be created along with it. If I hit enter, you will just see now. Let's look at it. A model is created, gift.php file is created where we have our model, which is present within the app folder here. This is the one. So this is the file that is created, and after that we have another migration or database table is created for gifts, which was not there earlier on. So this is how it's being ready. Now we can play around with it as per the data that we need. We can set it up here. Let's do that now. So what all things do I need in a gift? Well, we have already prepared the data into our Ionic application in the earlier Ionic series, means the gift shop application series. In the starting only, we have created dummy data. That's what I'm going to use it here. So if you haven't followed it, make sure you follow it. Otherwise, you can simply check this out and understand too. So $table. Then after that, you need to pass what kind of data you want, whether it's a string or Boolean or something. So I want a string data here, which I'm going to call it as name. So this is the format and your name will be created. Fine. So the name field is created. Then after that, what else do we need? I can simply copy and paste a bit more, but everywhere I don't need it as a string and the name won't be same. So the next thing that I need is the price of the gift. So it's going to be a decimal number, as this can have an integer, but it can be a float also. So decimal is the optimum way to have it, where I'll just pass it as price. Now we have another option to pass how many decimal numbers, up till 2 decimal points I'm going to allow it. So this is done. What's next? Well, next I'm going to have a status, which is going to be a Boolean value. Now okay, spelling is wrong. BOOLEAN Boolean value. The name will be, the field name will be status. Okay. Now here, once you store this value of the Boolean one, it's going to be a tiny int. That means only one integer value can be added, that is 0 and 1. So if it is true, it's going to take it as 1, otherwise it's 0. That's how it will be stored in the database. But we know that true and false will work for booleans. So if you are passing true from the front end, it's going to take it as 1. So remember that it's going to work pretty smoothly, to worry about it. Then the next one, we can have rating. Well, we are not going to pass the rating, but we need to store it. So what kind of a value it can take, let me just pass it. It's going to be a decimal number for sure. And 10 and 1. So like 4.7, 3.7, whatever is the value. After decimal, we will have only one value. That is why I'm giving 1 here. And we can set some default value also in this particular way, default 0. And for string, you can pass nullable in this particular way. This is how you can set nullable. So the value of it will be null if you are not passing it. But here name is mandatory, so we won't do that. But in some other case, we can definitely do that, like table. Then another one will be string. Now within this string, I'll pass cover. Okay, and it's going to be nullable. Fine. Now, if you think that your URL is too big, then you don't need to pass string. You should pass text here. It can take n number of characters, which is good. Otherwise, if you are using string, it has a certain limit. I think 255 characters it can take maybe. So after that characters, if you have put up that much of characters, it's got an error, so it allow you to add some. So it's better to pass text if you have a longer text to be inserted. Okay, make sure you do that. Like here in the cover one, well, I don't think I need to do that, but if you have a URL pretty big, you can definitely do that. I'll keep it a string for the time being, and I'll copy this and paste it once again, because there is another thing which I need to add. That's gonna be the description, which can be bigger. In our case, it's not that big, but still, if you want it to be on the safe side, then you can pass text here. Okay, let me do that. So I think our gift one is ready here. We can definitely migrate it and go ahead with it. Let's do it. Okay, let me just check it whether we do need to do anything or not. I don't think so. I've left anything. Now I'll go to the models one. Later on we are going to migrate it. And here I need to add something called fillable. Otherwise I'll get some error, and I'm going to show you later on what error will I get, or should I show you at the then only I will do. That would be better. So I'll show you, then I'll do it. Then we haven't created any controller yet. So let me just migrate it. I think we'll do it step by step. That's going to be better. PHP artisan migrate. That's going to be the command that I need to use to migrate the stuff. And if I hit enter, it's going to take it. Just check it out. Everything is getting migrated here. And all of it will come into the structure one. Just check this out. There was nothing earlier on. Now we have all the tables present here along with gifts. Just check the structure here. Well, whatever nullable we have given, this, see, the cover is nullable, it's taking it up. Name is not nullable, it's not taking it up by default. And for description also, it is text. Like I said, for string it is 255 characters. So this is ready. Now what else do we need to do? In the structure one, let's do the database and check it out for the users one. Well, in the users, we don't have any phone number or something as of now. So how do I add now? I have already created it. I don't want to do anything here directly manually. So there is another way. Let me just show you that part. So there is another command to create migrations directly. Now, this is the command PHP artisan make :migration. Then add, this is the name of the migration table, whatever you are having it. So I have just passed the name add phone to users table. That's the name I have given. And if you have any table which is already defined, you can just pass the reference as -- table equals to users, because I want to add this within the users table. Otherwise a new table will be created, which I don't want. All right. So the name convention is very much important, like this one, create users table. So there is creating users, okay, users table. So it is very much important. Create gifts table. So create is not taken, but this gifts is taken. GIFTS is the name of the table. It's taking it up. Then table means a table. Okay. So that is how it's broken. I'm just giving you just a vague idea how the name convention is working here. Okay. So you need to be very careful when you're doing that up. Otherwise the table name will be different and you have to change it manually here, which you can do that simply. Now I'm going to just hit enter. Okay, this is created. I'll go there, just check it out. The table name is users, right? And I'll simply pass $table. It's gonna be a string. I'll save it as a string here. And it's gonna be phone. So I don't need to add anything else here for the users one. That's fine. We are not going to work with the authentication right now. Later on, we are going to add it up. Don't need to worry about it. We'll cover all the things here. But for the time being, let me just go for migrate once again. So whatever is not migrated, it's going to get migrated directly, like the way you have seen now. This table is migrated, basically adding to our earlier one. Now if I just click on browse, you will see phone is added here. Okay, and just check the structure at the very end is added. That's how it is working. And if you don't want it there, you can simply have it here into the users table. Okay, the phone number, and migrate it once again. Now how to migrate it once again, let me just show you that part also. You have to do something manually for that. So let me go to the database, and at first you have to delete this users folder. Okay, now how to delete that? You simply click on drop. Okay, and enable, just disable this and click on OK. It's going to remove it. Then you have to go to the migration part to remove that particular table from here. Once you do that up, it's going to detect that there is no such table available into the database. You simply add it, and it's going to do that when you go for the command php artisan migrate with the latest changes that you have made. So that is how it's going to work. I hope it's clear to you. I'm not going to show you that part, but I have explained you how it can be done, which is a manual part, but I prefer that this is also fine, which you can directly work with. But sometimes if you want to do that, definitely it's on. So now it is ready. What's the next step? I need to create a controller and start working with the functionality of it. So for creating a controller, what's the command? Now for creating a controller, the command is php artisan make controller. So whatever you want to do, you can directly do with the help of colon itself. Model migration controller, and then the name of that. Now there is another feature here. If you want to have some functions by default, there are default functions also which you can use with web.php or API routes.php. These are the routes where you can just have some functionality. Like for CRUD operations, there are some functions which are created by default using this resource -- resource. Okay, if you add this up, it's going to create some functions by default. Otherwise, it's going to be an empty class. So I want to create it because I'll be using that part only. So I'll just hit enter, and let's check out the HTTP folder where we have this. Okay, I think I created a wrong controller here. I want to create a gift controller, not a student controller. So let me just delete it. Okay, I've deleted that. Now I'm going to create the controller again. This time the name will be proper. It's gonna be a gift one. Hit enter. Now the gift controller is created. There you see, these are the functions that are coming up with the help of -- resource. That will not come if you don't pass it. Okay, this is used for updation. You can pass your functionality for updation. This is for deletion. If you don't use that also, you can still work with it. It's not a problem. But there is a certain benefit of using this, which I'm going to show you when we work with the routing part. Okay, when we provide the routes basically in the API file. Now, what am I going to do? I'll create the functions one by one, in which the gift model is very much mandatory to work with. So you have to pass the models and use that in your controllers to work with. Because this is eloquent, where we are going to provide the functionality in the form of an eloquent. Basically making a query to work with our database. So let me use our model here, because that is how I'm going to use the eloquent, and the location that I have to provide is within the app folder. Within the app we have models, then within the models we have the gift one. That is how we need to pass it. If you don't use that, you will get certain errors, because without that it's not going to work. Now after that, I will directly jump into the store function, which is used for creating a new gift in this particular case. So I'm going to use it up. So every function has its own functionality by default. That is why I've used as a resource. Otherwise, you have to create a new function and pass it there. All right. So now what am I going to do? First of all, I'm going to validate all the stuff that I'm going to get from the front end, whether it is any field. Okay. Whichever is mandatory, I'm going to pass it in the validator. So how to do that? On $validator, that's going to be a variable that I'm going to just create it directly, which will be equals to validator, which is a predefined one, but it's not going to be called automatically. We have to import it. This is how we import it or use it. And for the validator, we have to use validator in this particular way, then only it's going to work. otherwise you will get an error. So in the validator one, what am I going to do? I'm going to call the make function. Now make function will accept certain properties here. First one will be the request which we will get from our front end. This is the request, okay, that we are going to get it, which will hold all the properties or all the fields. By using the function called all, we are going to fetch all the fields from there, okay, whatever we are getting from the front end, and then we are going to validate it one by one using the second parameter. All right, so in the second parameter, what we are going to do, we are going to pass it one by one. First of all, the name that we will be getting, it should be a required field. Then what else we will get? We will get the cover image, which is again a required field. Also, it should be an image only. If you're passing anything else, it's not going to take it, and we can do it by using this symbol here and passing image. Okay, this is how you are making it mandatory that it should be required field, but at the same time it should be an image too. Now not only that, you can also fix the size of it. So how we can do that? Again, you give the symbol. Well, this symbol is mostly present above the enter button, and I'm going to pass it here max colon 2048. That's in KB. So 2048 is basically 2 MB. I have just passed it in KB. So that's how we do it, and pass a comma and pass the other fields in this particular way. Then we need the price. Again, it's going to be a required field. All right. The next we have in our chart is status, which is again an important one. Finally, we need the description, which is again a required field. All right. So whichever are required, you just have to pass it here in the validator one. Now we have just prepared the validator, but we have not checked it as of now for errors. Now, if this validator fails, what will happen? So if $validator, which is having all the validators, this arrow mark fails function, I'm going to use it. If that is true, then what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to return a response, and for response you can use response function directly. If you want a capital letter, I think you should import it also. Let me just show you that part. Without import, I think it should work. Like the way we have used request here, similar way we will go for response also, but I'll comment it. I want to see whether I get some error or not if I don't use that. So response function, let it colon, and here I'm going to pass an object where error will be the name, means the field name, and within that I'm going to pass all the errors from my validator. So validator, within that we have a function called errors function. That's what I'm going to pass, and you can also pass the status code. So I'm going to pass here the status code is 422, and if you want to see what does it mean, you can simply search it on the internet. 422 status is unprocessable content. Because something is not available, then I want it to be not processed anything. Okay, that's what it will do. And if there is no issue with the validator, we have all the proper data, then we are going to move ahead and work with it. That is why I'm just returning it here so that it won't come to the next code if there is any error. Now what am I going to do is, well, I'll request whatever request we are getting from the front end. I'm going to have it within a variable called input in this particular way. Now I need to save this data. So this cover image, whichever I'm going to get, as it is a mandatory field, without that it won't go ahead. So I don't need to check. If you still want to check whether you have a cover image or not, you can still do that. For that, the condition will be request arrow mark has file, then the name will be cover. Okay, whatever property or field you are passing it from the front end, you have to pass the name, the same name, and within this you can directly pass the stuff. Okay. So let me just do it here, but since it is mandatory, you can skip this condition as it is not required here. Just to show you, I'm doing it. Now here, I need to prepare the original name and modify it a bit, and then prepare the data by storing it into our storage folder, okay, which is the storage folder. This is the storage folder, and within that, in the public folder, within the app public, here I'm going to do that by creating a folder here. So let me just show you how this all can be done. We have to create the folder manually as it goes to the time. That is why this is the functionality to do so. Let me explain you first. at first what am I doing is I'm getting the original name of the file in this particular way by checking the file, and then the get client original name function used to get the file name. Once I get the file name, I'll get the path information, okay, the extension, and this is how I'll get the actual file name. So file with text extension and file name. So this will get me the file name, which and this will get me the extension of the file. Now once I get all of it, I need to prepare the actual file name by integrating it with time so that it is a different file. Because if you pass the same file name again and again, it's going to like say that this file already is available and it's going to modify that. I don't want that to happen. That is why I'm just modifying the file name by appending it with the time. So the time will change every time, and you will not have the same file name. That is how I'm doing it. So for appending, we are using dot here in PHP. We use dot. Okay. So dot, then a string is appended, then again a dot, time is appended, and finally we are appending the extension. So the proper file name is created once again with the modifications that we have done by integrating the time. Finally, once this is done, what we are doing next is we are preparing the path with this particular command. This is a one-liner command only. So with this command, which we are hitting this one, what it will do is it will store the file which we are uploading into this particular path that I have told you, okay, and we will get the path here, the proper path, which we are going to pass it within the cover one, that is the input one. So whatever cover value was there in the input one earlier will get updated, and this will be the location that I am going to store. And this is the folder name that I have given. So within the public, I need to create a folder called gifts. All right. Otherwise I'll get an error. So I've created the gifts folder as I've given gifts here. If you want to change it, definitely you can. And the initial URL, that is the server URL, I'm not going to pass it there, because if we change the server, we have to change this thing again and again. That is why I'll just keep it intact, and we are going to append the server in URL later on. Okay, I'm going to show you how we can do that up. But if you want it, definitely you can try this out directly also by passing the URL, the server URL. But it's difficult to change it later on. You have to run some queries to do that up, which I want to avoid. Now still this will not work properly. Okay, this will work, but if we want to fetch it, this won't work, because the fetching won't work from here directly. Actually, it works by creating a symlink of it. So we need to actually run a command to create a symlink, which will make a copy of the storage one within the public one. Okay, because we are going to access this public folder here, right? And from there on we are going to access this. So this is actually part of hiding the data, main data. This is just making a copy of the storage one into the public. So we are actually accessing a copy, okay, but actual data is somewhere else. That is how it's being done, which is very interesting to work with. So the command for doing that is php artisan storage : link. If I do that up, just check it out. Within the public folder, we do not have any shortcut here. Let's see whether it gets created or not. If I hit this command, just check it out. Within the public, we have the storage one, which is created here. And within the storage, I have the gift. So this particular one is linked with this one. Okay, just check this out. So directly within the app, storage app, then public. So this public is linked with this one. Just check it out how it is, which is very much beneficial actually. When you upload it in the server, it will help you out. Alright, so our data is ready for the cover one, and the rest of the data will remain as same. So what I'll do is I'll just keep it as this, okay? Because this condition will always be true, as we have kept it as a required field. I am telling you again and again. So let it be. So after this will be done, we will create an entry into the table. And how we can do that up? For doing that, well, let me create a variable which will be equals to gift. This is our model, gift model, where we will pass a function called create, which will create the particular row. And within that, I'm going to pass all the values with their field name, which is going to be the input one. Okay, once we do that up, we will get the data in this particular gift, whatever is created there, with ID and each and everything. ID will be created automatically, updated at, created at will be created automatically with this function. Okay, And once that is done, I will again return a response. So let me just use the capital letter res response. There was an earlier way also by using the JSON function. So dash JSON function, and within that you can just pass the same thing that we have done here. Okay. And this was like a small letter one. So you can just do that. But in the latest version, I have just seen that without this also, it works pretty fine. All right. So that is why I'm doing regular way. Now here, what am I going to do? I'm going to pass, first of all, a property called success, which will be having the value of 1 to indicate that there is no error. If you find some error, you can even pass 0 also. Whatever you want to do, you can directly do that. And in fact, along with that, I'm going to pass the data, which is going to be our gift. So if I want to work with this gift in my front end, definitely I can do that. Okay, so this one is ready. We just need to try it now. Okay, and how will I try it? I'm not going to do it with Ionic framework, because we are not going to create an admin panel there and work with that, but simpler way to do that, which is Postman. So Postman will help us to achieve it. We will put on the HTTP request with the help of Postman here. So if you haven't heard of Postman, simply install it. So just by going to the browser here, you can simply search for Postman, okay, and install it, sign up for free. It's free of cost, and you are good to go. Once you get it done, okay, you can directly start working with that. Now here it is directly opening up the website for me. I think you can do it in the browser also, but I prefer to create the application because it's going to be easier to work with. Now in my case, the application means the Postman is already ready. What I'll do is I'll create a new workspace here, which is a better way to work with, and I'm going to rename it. Next, name of the workspace, Gift Shop App. All right. Yeah, only for me. Other things are in the upgraded version, upgraded plan. I don't want that. All right, this is created. Great. Now what I'll do is, first of all, in order to start working with it, I need to run the command php artisan serve. All right, then I'll get this particular URL here. So let me simply copy it and get here. Now what I'll do is I'll create a collection here, and the collection name will be, because I want to do it in a structured way, okay, not just like that. And let me rename it to gifts. Now I'll add a request here, okay, which is going to be a post request. Go for post, as we are posting the data. Now here I have to prepare a proper URL. How can I do that? Directly I cannot do it because there is nothing I have done so far for creating an API, right? So for creating an API, we need to go to the routes folder, and here this web.php works with the front end, means mainly for the Laravel. In the Laravel PHP, we can also directly work with the front end part too, along with the backend within the same Laravel application itself. That is why it has in the resources one, where is it? Yeah, in the resources one, we have views. So these views here, we can work with the PHP stuff, okay, HTML, PHP and all other stuff. This is the HTML stuff along with the PHP integrations. So everything is being done where you can create the views and work with that directly. And for this, the routes that are used are passed in web.php, okay. So this is how the welcome will be called. Let me just show you. If I just try it now, let me just pass the URL. Okay, this is the URL. If I just hit it, this is the welcome page, and the code for that is defined in the welcome.blade.php. All right, that is how it's working there. So if I change the name to Gift Shop App, Gift Shop App, you will see the changes here too. Just reload it. Now check this out. This is Gift Shop App, which was not there earlier on, right? If I remove this app here, just check it now, just check it out. This is Gift Shop. So similarly, you can see all other stuff here if you want to, but I don't want to do that. I want to work with the API stuff. And in order to work with that, what I have to do is I have to look for Laravel Sanctum or Laravel Passport. This is basically used for providing the authentication stuff. Okay, so Sanctum is installed by default in Laravel with the latest version. If you want to check it, you can go for composer.json file or composer.log file. Mostly in the log file, you will get this Laravel Sanctum installed by default. If you don't have it installed, if you want to, you can check the documentation, but it's written here that it is inbuilt process which is done in Laravel latest versions. And what's the benefit of it? That this is mostly used for single page application or mobile applications. So that is why in our case, it's going to be a better way to work with. Whereas Laravel Passport also you can use it, but it is a different one. Laravel Passport, it is a third party tool which you can still integrate with the help of this particular documentation for the latest version. Okay, using this particular one, the API file will be created if you run this up. But for that you have to install it at first, which is a command. I think by this one only you can install it. All right, but since they have introduced Sanctum, let's check it out how Sanctum works. Laravel Password, maybe in some other series or somewhere else I will explain you up, not right now. I've worked with both of them and it works pretty smoothly, but this time I'm going to work with the Laravel Sanctum here. So let's go for it. Since I don't have to make any changes, I can directly go with it. So Laravel Sanctum, what we have to do is I just need to run this command, okay, and it's going to prepare our file for the routes, that is the api.php file, which we don't have it here. Okay, let's check it out. Let me open up another shell and I will run this command, hit enter. Let's see what happens. Okay, this is running and all right, it's done. We have the api.php file now present here within the routes. This is the file which will help us to work with the API routes. Okay, now here I'm going to create all the APIs. How will I do that? Let me just show you. So route.get is the command. Route get function will be used, and this route is already being imported along with the request one which you have here. So this one we are not using it up. This is just a default one which is shown. You can simply comment it also if you want to. And if you want to use some authentication part, you have to use it in this particular way by passing the middleware of Sanctum. But as of now, I will not show you that part. We will work with it later on in this series. Right now, I'm going to show you the CRUD operations, and step by step, you will learn each and everything. Don't need to worry about it. Now here, you have to pass the route name. Let's say gift or create gift you can pass. Okay, create gift. After that, you have to pass the controller. So in our case, it's gift controller, okay, colon class. This is how you call it, and you have to import it also. So the location will be app, use app, http. This is the backslash http backslash controllers backslash gift controller. That is the location where we have our gift controller.php file. Okay, so this is imported. Now I have to pass here the function name. So in our case, the function name is store. Okay, if I do that up, the route is ready. What's wrong? Okay, I have to give colon here, 2 colons, because this is the first function. If I'm using another function here, then I have to give this particular one, okay, and pass the other function. This is how we use it in Laravel. The first function will always have this colon stuff. In our controller also, or where I'm used, yes, this one also, I'm using this colon here, right? This is a variable. That is why we are directly using this arrow symbol. And here also in the validator, in this particular way, I am using the arrow symbol. But for this classes, the first function will be within the columns. And if I have to add something else with this particular function here, then I have to pass this and work with. Okay, remember that if you do not know about it. Where was I? I have to go to the api.php file. So this is created, right? This is one way of doing it. Now, what is the other way? I told you I'm using dash resource, and there is a benefit of using that. The benefit is that instead of doing in this particular way, let me just copy and paste it. I will simply pass one thing, gift, and this one will be resource. Okay. So route colon resource. Then this is the stuff that I'm passing. This is the route, which will be applicable for CRUD operations, means the create, read, update, delete, single read file, whatever functions we have there, all functions can be executed with this particular stuff. All right. And here I don't need to pass any function name because it will be taken automatically. So these are the two ways by which you can achieve the same result, but this is applicable only for one route. This is applicable for all the resources files or all the functions that we have created within the controllers that was there by default. Okay. And in fact, I don't need to pass this slash also. So I'll just remove the slashes. It is not required. since I'm going to append it from the front end itself. So without these slashes also it's going to work pretty fine. Don't need to worry about it. Okay, great. So this is ready now. I'm going to try with the resources one. Let's get going. What I'll do here is I need to pass here API. That's how it works. So API needs to be passed. Then I'm going to pass gift here. And where I'll pass the data within the body, I will go for, if I go for XWW form and URL encoded, then what will happen? I can pass all the values, but I cannot pass the image. Image is mandatory, otherwise I'll get some error. So in the form data, I have the option of selecting if I have to pass the file or a text. So let me quickly pass the data here. I'll do what? I'll select file here and pass cover. Other stuff will be same, like name. Then we have description. There was a status. Then we have the price. Okay. Anything else? Well, I think that's enough. So I need to pass the value for each and every one. It's time to check the Ionic application for the data. So I will directly use this data in our API service. If you haven't checked the series, make sure you check the description if you want to learn all of it. Otherwise, you can continue with the CRUD operation only. So I'm just going to pass the same data here. Okay, price 999. Let me pass 999 here. All right. And if you want to pass rating also, you can simply do what? Just pass rating here, as it is nullable. So if you don't pass it, still it's going to work fine. But if you want to pass it, definitely you can do it here in this particular way. All right, then status will be true, and I'm going to copy the description, which is a little bigger. Let's copy it. I'll paste it here, and status will be true. All right, the file that I need to select is which one? Okay, this gifts basket. All right, what's the location? Let me get it directly. I'll click here and new file from local machine. I'm into the location now, gift basket. This is the one I need to select. Let me select it, which is less than 2 MB. Okay, so I'll show you by uploading a bigger size image also. Should I show you right now? Let's do it. Well, I have one of my image which is like 5 MB or something. Let me try to upload that. Okay, but I think before uploading only I'll get an error, which is fillable error. Let's try it now. So I'll just hit it and let's see what happens. All right, I'm getting an error here. So array to string conversion in file. This is the error which I'm encountering right now. And is it showing something here? Okay, saying that our one new database migration has been published. Would you like to run? Okay, I want to run it because we have done for Sanctum. So it will have a file here, means the table one is that will be uploaded just now. That is why this process is now completed, and we will have more stuff here. Okay, the personal access token, we got it here, which we are going to check it later on. Now let's get back and check it out. What error did we get here? So mostly one possible reason is what I told you earlier is the gift.php one. I have to pass something here, okay, which is protected fillable. So this variable is very much important. This is a predefined one. You cannot change the name of it, and you have to pass all the stuff that you want to, okay, whose value you are going to pass it. Okay, once I do that up, let's try it now whether I get the error or not. If I hit it, okay, still I'm getting the same error here. All right, there is one thing which I missed out, which is very important. You are getting this kind of a response because what you need to do is in the headers one, you have to pass something called application accept JSON. Okay, if you just pass it, let's try it now. Okay, this time I'm getting proper error, which is very much important to pass. Okay, remember that. All right, this array to string conversion error is coming up not because of the fillable, but because of the array which I have passed here. If you're using resource, you don't need to pass this array directly. The class name is enough. Okay, in this particular way is enough to work with. So let me just remove the fillable once again. I want to show you the errors that will come up if I just remove it. So I'll just get here and remove it up or comment this up. Okay. Also, one more thing which I just missed out to show you in the Sanctum one is basically related to the users model. What we have to do in the users model is you have to use has API tokens. I thought of showing you when we will actually work with the authentication part, but this is important. We might miss out later on, and we have to like fix this later on, this errors. So I just don't want that. So I'll just pass it here directly in this particular way. This will help us to get the tokens for this particular users, okay, whenever we create that up. And in the fillable one, we have another field called phone, which I'm just going to pass it. If you have any other field, definitely you can try working with that too here, okay. So user is done, gift one is ready, where I have not passed the fillable one. Let's check it out this time. What error do we get? So I'll just hit this send button again. And this time it is saying that the cover failed to upload because the file size is bigger. So now let me pass the actual file, okay, which is going to be within the gifts and the basket, gift basket one. So let's try this one now. If I just go for it, add name to fillable property. So this fillable one, we have to add it. That's what it means. And this is how we are going to add all the properties which value you are going to pass. Definitely you have to pass it here. Other things like created or updated ad, you don't need to pass it. It's going to be created automatically. You can update it later on as per your requirement. Okay, so this is done. Let's try it now. If I just hit the send button, this time there is an error which is related to, okay, status. All right, so it is saying that the value of integer is set to true, which is not the stuff it will take. I have to pass 1 here. So in Postman, we have to do it in this particular way, but I have tried it from the Ionic application earlier on also lot many times. You can pass true and it's going to take it as 1. Let's try it now. If I hit it, you just check it out. The data is created and we get a success 1. And if you check it in the database itself, let's check it out here in the gifts one. You see this entry is done and we have the created and updated date also inserted automatically with the latest time. So this is how you can create a particular row in a particular table in any database of MySQL with the help of Laravel Eloquent. Okay, we have tested it out. Now let me make the query for, or the Eloquent query for fetching this data, which I'll do it in the index one, which is used for displaying a list of the resource. So I'll do it here. So now one more thing, we have seen that without this response also it is working fine. So we don't need to pass it. Now in the index one, what I'll do, it's pretty simple. Gifts, any variable name you can pass it here, equals to gift the model name, colon, I have to pass a function called get, which will get all the data. Okay. So I'll get all the data here and I'll simply return it. Return response function. Within that I'll pass an array in this way. Basically it's an object that will be passed. So here I'm going to pass data, in which I'll pass gifts variable. It's a dollar symbol. That's how we pass in PHP. Then if you want to pass success, you can pass 1, but I think it's not required here. So let me pass this much data. Let's check it out now. So this time also the API will be same, just it's going to be get one for the index one. Let's check it out now. I'll just hit this send button and you will see it's giving me an array. It's actually giving me an object where I have the array within the data. So this data is holding this particular array where I have only a single record as of now. I'm fetching it. But what is happening is the cover image, if I want to check it out, I won't be able to check it because I don't have the base server URL. So how to get the base server URL? Let me just show you that part. So the basic URL, you can get it directly from config file, where it is, config folder, app.php, where we have, okay, this is the URL that is being provided. Okay, the app URL that you can directly access using the config.url. That's how you can get it. We will check it later on also how we can directly fetch it up, but I will do something different because I want to access the storage one here, right? That is why I'll create one. And in order to create one, what I'll do is I'll create a new stuff here. Okay, at the bottom, let me name it as server and initial value will be empty. Okay, this is the server configuration which I want to do. If you don't want to pass it, you can simply skip that up, but I want to do it. So I'll create it in this particular way. This is the user defined one. Now how to pass the value here? Next thing which I'll do is within the, where it is providers, in the app service provider, there I'm going to work with it to actually give the value to it in the constructor. There is no constructor here, so I need to create one. Actually, there is always a constructor, but it is not shown here for any functionality, but I'm going to pass some functionality there. So how will I do that? I have to create a function underscore underscore construct. This is how the constructor is created. Okay. So this is actually a variable which will hold, global variable, which will hold the value of the URL as of now. Along with that, it's going to append the storage one. This is how I'll get the proper URL till storage. And after that, we can directly access the rest of the URL which we just got here, because within the public folder there is a storage folder which is a copy of the actual storage one, which I already told you. So we are going to access that storage folder directly. We don't have to pass /public/storage here. We can directly access the storage as this is a public domain. Fine. We can directly access the public folder data. Okay, so that is why public folder is not required here. So once this is done, in the boot one, I need to do something. Now I need to set up the value of this server one in the configuration, in the config.php app file. There I need to set the value of this particular variable, okay, into the server one. Once I do that up, I can directly use this server string that we have in our app.php file in the config folder. We can directly access that up. How we can do that up? Let me just show you in the controller itself. So at first I need to use config, and then let me pass here $server is a variable which I have created, which will hold the value of config, then app.server. So it will give me the URL. If you want to check it out, let me pass it as server base URL, and that's the value. Let's check it now. What do we get if I hit the send button once again? Okay, I'm getting an error here. Well, the error is coming up because in the app service provider, I have not imported it. So this time here, the import will be different. It's going to be from use illuminate /support /facades /config. That's what I need to use it here. So you have to be certain about all these things, otherwise you will get certain errors. So now this will be done, and if I hit the send button this time, I won't get any error and I can directly use this. This is the actual URL which I should get, means this is the base URL. If I append both of them, let me just try it. I'll copy it up. Let's get to the browser. I'll paste it. Then I'm going to append the rest of it. Okay, in this particular way, let's copy it and paste it here. Hit enter. So as you can see now, we are getting the image, which means that our URL is working pretty fine. And it is stored, let me just show you, in the public storage gifts. You can see, okay, the number of times that we have uploaded so far, it is taking that. But let me just see, which is the latest one. Since we tried to, I think 2-3 times, here 4 times it is being done. So that means 4 times we have uploaded it. Not to worry. Let me delete it manually. Fine. It's deleted. So basically when we tried it earlier, the file was uploaded, but it was not getting created in the database. Okay, that's it. So as of now, we have seen how to create a record and how to get the records, right? Now, even here also, where it is the gift controller, I can pass some conditions instead of this one. How can I do that? Well, let me just do it. I will look for those records where status equals to 1. So this is the where condition. This is how we pass it. First of all, I need to pass the field name, which is status. All right. Then the comparator or the operator equals to, you can just give it. Okay. Then the value, if it is equals to 1. Now, since it is equals to, which is by default, it is already there. So you can skip this step. If you have, say, like greater than equals to or something, then you can pass it there also. Okay. But if it is only equals to, I think it's better to skip it. So now I'll just get all records where status equals to 1. Let's look for status 0, because for the first record, we have status 1, right? Let's look for that. I'll just search it. Let's see what happens. I'm not getting any data. Data is empty. But if I go for status 1, let's check it now. I'm getting the data. So this is the condition which we have passed, and it is working pretty nicely. If you want to pass more than one condition, there are two ways. You can just pass here another where clause. Okay. Otherwise, what you can do is you can make an array of it in this particular way. All right. And I think another array you need here. So in this way, you can pass the other conditions also altogether. Fine. That's how you can work with it. Let's keep it in this particular way for the time being. The next thing which you need to work with is the update one. So let's go for it. And for updating it up, I need to go to the update function here. There are two functions. One is edit and one is update. So for updation, I will use this particular function here. This is for showing the form for editing purpose or something, mainly used for web.php. I won't go for it. Update function is fine for us. Now in the update function, I will just look for cover image, but it's not a required field here. All right. So that is why I've just kept a check. Whatever data you are passing in the update one, whether it is name, price, or anything you want to update, if it is not a cover image, then it will simply go ahead. If it is a cover image, you need to make sure that that is an image and it's of proper size. Otherwise, it's not going to take that. Now, if I go ahead with it, I need to check the condition. So if validator fails, right, then what I need to do? Well, this time I'll do it little differently and I'll tell you why. I'll first get the validator errors, all the errors with using this errors function here. And then I will append another error with that, because you won't get the error for cover image. Okay, in the validator we are going for the cover one. So I want to pass that the maximum size that can be allowed is 2 MB. That is what I want to integrate with that. Otherwise this will not show up in the default errors, right? So it will get integrated with the help of the add function, and you need to pass like here you will get certain fields, right? So there is a field called cover, since we are looking for the cover errors, right? That is why I'm just passing the same field here. It will take that and it will append this particular error with this particular errors list. Okay. Finally, I'm returning the data if there is any error. And if there is no error, what I'll do, I will again get the data and look for cover image, and accordingly, I'll prepare all the data like the one we have already did when we were creating it up. Okay. So this same stuff I have just copied and pasted it here. Just check it out. It's the same stuff that I have done, right? Once you do that up, then what we are going to do? Well, I'm going to get this particular item gift variable is created, and I'm going to find the by ID that particular record and update it up, because I will get the ID here. This is the function which will give me the ID, as I need to update a particular record here. So I will have to pass the ID, and thereon this ID will be used to find that particular record. This is the find function with the help of which we can get a particular record, where I will use the update function to update all the data that I am getting in the request. That is how it's going to be done. Okay. And finally, I will return the response, where I will pass this particular data here. So you can just have in this way, you can pass the data, or using the array function. Okay. Same thing. Let's do it in this way only so that you don't get confused. Instead of success, it's not the success output, actually it's gift that I need to send. So let me pass this gift here. Okay, let's remove it, not needed. Fine, so it's ready. Let's try it now. I need to update it, and for updating it up, what I'll do is the same API only. I'll go for, let's say, patch, put, whichever you want, you can use it. There is a difference between the two. Patch means certain records you are just updating it up. Put, mostly all the records you are updating, something of that kind. Let's try it. Okay, I've given ID 1, and I'm going to update only the, let's say, price. Okay, let's go for it. I'll add one more 9. Let's go for it and check it out. So data is true. That's what I'm getting in the data. Let's check it in the database, whether it is updated or not. It's not updated. Why? That's happening because I need to pass the data in the www form URL encoded, since I'm using patch and put. Okay. If you want to pass the data by post, you have to create another route for that. We will look into that also. So let me pass price 4 nines. Okay, and let's go for it. Again, I'm getting true. Earlier also I got true because there was no data that is being passed, okay, with the request, and it's hence it is returning us true since there was nothing to update. Let's check it now. I'll just refresh it. This time you can see it is updated. So that is how it is working here. Now I don't want this, as you know that this is not fulfilling our purpose. So even I can show you with put also. Let me just show you that part first. Let's go for it again. I'll reverse it. Let's try it again. It's working. Let's check it here. You can see it is updated once again. So put and patch is working almost the same part. Now if I go for post, that won't work here. Okay, if I go for post and just let's try this out. I'll hit the send button and you can see I'm getting an error because there is no post route which I can go through with this particular API that I have created, right? And if you want to see what are the route lists that are available, there is a command for that. So PHP artisan, not here exactly. The second one I'll do it here. PHP artisan route colon. Okay, by mistake I just hit enter, colon list. All right, now just check this out. You are getting all a list of the APIs that you can work with. Okay, so there is nothing as such for post for updating it up. We need to create that, and to create that I'll go to api.php, where it is, there we are, and I'm going to create another route here, route colon colon post, where I'll change the name because I can't pass the same name. And if I pass the same name still, I think it might work, but I don't want to do that. So gifts slash, this is how we pass the ID, okay? Single braces, and within that, the ID or whatever you are passing it from there, from the backend. Mainly, this is how you are going to track it. And gift controller is like the controller name, and finally the function that you are going to use, update function, we are going to use it, and you have to pass it within an array. Remember that. All right, so once that is done, if I try it now, let's see what happens. I'll change the name to gifts because I wanted them to have different names. Okay, and I'm going to go for the form data itself. Now if I change the cover image also, it will work. Earlier what happens is, if I go for the cover image to update, I have to use form data. I cannot use form data with patch and put, so I have to go for post. Now we can do that. So I want let me just show you, because if I don't show you, you will think that that might not work, right? So let me just show you the diamond one. Let's upload it. I'll change the price once again to this particular one. In fact, the name also you can just change it as per your requirement. A little bit I've changed. Let's go for it. I think it might work. So I'll just hit the send button. Let's see. I'm getting true here. And if I go to the database, let's check it out. It is updated. Great. I'm getting the diamond one this time. And if I just go to the code here in the, where it is, storage one, I'll get the diamond one here. So this is uploaded, right? Everything is working pretty nicely so far. It's time to check the other one, that is the delete one. Let's go for it because updation is done. And in fact, we can get one single record also. I'll show you that one at first before going to the deletion part. For that, I'll use a show function. Now let me directly write here the query because I will be using directly the find function. That's it. Nothing else is required. This is enough to work with. Okay, I'll get the data. Then I will get the server URL. Okay, then I'm going to simply pass those data here. And this one, let me call it data because I'm calling everywhere data. It's gonna be same everywhere, so it won't be confusing for anybody. All right, so I think it's fine. Let's go for it and check it out. How will I check it? I don't need to create another route for that. Simply go for get, right? Let's try it. And I'm getting the data here. That's how it is working. So this one is also done. Now it's time to go for the deletion part, which is to be done in the destroy function. Now in the destroy function, I'm going to use a function called delete here by finding it at first. So I'll get the item. It's going to be a single item actually. So I'll get the single item, then I will check or actually call the delete function, and if it is true, then I'm going to send a response where success will be 1. Otherwise, I'll return success to be 0. Okay, so you need to track it down when I'm doing so. Let's try this one too. what I'll do here is I'll go for delete one. So just you have to find the stuff. If you are going for a single one, find it, and then whatever you want to do, you can do it. Update, delete, whatever. So this is my ID, delete one. I have already applied. Let me hit on the send button because the body and all won't make any sense for the delete one. Let's go for it. And you can see success one. That means it is deleted. Let's check it here. If I browse, no data is available here. And I can remove now all of it. So let's remove it, delete. Okay, I'm going to empty the gifts folder. We can write queries for this one also, but I won't show you this part right now because the main parts I have already shown you. So let's work with that and finish it up, as there is one more thing which is left for this video which I want to show you, which is very much important, is the bulk upload. Since we have the data here, right? It is an JSON object which we have here. So I need to like update all at once, correct? So how to do that? I can insert all at once. Yeah, I cannot insert the cover image one by one because that is a different stuff. I need to upload it at first, but rest of the data I can definitely do that, correct? Let's do that now. For that, the query is going to be, I'll create a function here called public function bulk insert, where I'll get the request in this particular way. The parameter will be passed, and then within this, what am I going to do? At first I'll get all the request. So request all, okay, in this particular way. Then I'll create a variable called result, in which what am I going to do? I'll call the model here, where I'll call another function which is the insert function that can take more than one record. So it will create all the data at once, but it will not update the created data and updated data. That will be null by default. Okay, so remember that. I'm simply going to pass input here. That's it. So if you want to update the created data and updated data, you have to do it manually by mapping this data. That's what you have to do. And once this is done, insert is done, you can simply send the response here, and let me call it data only. Fine. So that's what you have to do for bulk insertion. It's time to try it. How will I try it? I'll just do it here only. Okay, I think I should have created different routes for each and every one. So let's do it. What I'll do is, this is for post. Okay, this is for post data, and let me just rename it add gift. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'll create a new one. Let me duplicate it. So duplicate and rename it get gifts. All right, even you can rename it properly by doing this stuff. Okay, so get gift. I'll just copy everything, and actually this is something wrong. It should not be get, it should be post. So how do I change it? So I have to save it. Okay, if I save it, that will take it. So Control plus S or Command plus S for Windows, sorry, for Mac, Command plus S. For get gifts, you simply need to call this particular function and it's gonna work for you. All right, since there are no data at present, so that is why it is not showing. Then what I'll do is, let me create another request by going to the +1, and let me edit it. Get single request. Okay, so I hope you're getting it. It's done. Again, the same URL will be there. Just the ID you need to pass, and that's gonna be it. So no data is available. That is why it is showing in this particular way. Okay, let me save it and I'll close it. Even this too also, I'll close it. Fine. What's next? I'll create another one for update gift. Okay, and let's save it here. Then it's going to be post, put, patch, whichever you want. The data, I'll get it from add gift only. So cover one, I think cover one is fine. Let's go for the URL here and with the ID, and I'll go to the body form data, where I'll just have the cover, which is going to be a file, and you can have name also, you can have price also. Okay, so let me have the price to be 4 nines, name let's say XYZ1, and any file I'll select it from here, from the gifts one only, any file, and you can try that out. So yeah, I'm just creating different routes so that I don't have to like replace one or the other. That is a good practice to work with. Okay, now this is also done, updation is done. What else is left? I think deletion is left. So let's try it. I'll go for the deletion one. Let's go for save as, delete gift, click on save, and you can go for the route here. Just pause this and go for delete. If you hit the send button, you won't have any data at present, so it will give you an error, but simply save it and you're good to go. Now the last one is the bulk one, which is left. So let's create that. I'll save it as bulk insert, bulk gift insert, and save it. Okay, once that is saved, I'll pass the URL where I'll go for the post one, but this URL will be different. Let's create that now. So what I'll do is I'll go to the api.php here and I'm going to create a route. So route : post. The name I've given is as bulk gifts insertion, whatever you want, you can just give the name here. And I'm calling this bulk insert function, which we have just created. It's time to test it. So I'll just go to the Postman once again, change the name to bulk gifts. All right. And this is a post one, but in the body one, I won't go for form data or in fact for XWW form URL encoded. I'll directly go for the raw data where I'm going to pass it as a JSON format. So the data which I'm going to pass is this particular one. So the same array that we have here, I have just passed it and removed only the cover one. If you're passing the cover one also, still it is fine. You can update it later on, okay, which I am going to show you. So let me just insert all of it, which I have already done. Let me hit on the send button and here I'm getting an error here. So what's the error? Basically, let's check it out. Have I missed anything in the gift controller? All right, yes, I do. Actually, it's items and I've given it as inputs, which is wrong, right? Let's try it once again. I hit on the send button and this time data is inserted. Now let's check it out whether it is inserted or not. So I'll just go to the database and there we go. All of them are inserted properly and cover is null here, which is great. So and created and updated that, like I told you, they haven't been updated. So yeah, that's the thing. Now I need to update. I will use update function to update each and every record with the cover one by one. And by doing that, our tasks will be done. So for doing that, I'll simply uncomment all this, only check the one which I need and pass the information one by one. For ID 1, which image do I need? Let's check it out. What is there in the first record? I'll check it from here. Give basket. So I'll just select give basket. From the location, give basket, selected, done, send. Okay, it's not gift, it is gifts. That is why I'm getting the error. Let's try it now. It's done. So let's check it. The first one should be updated. Yes, we do. And have it is been uploaded or not? Let's check it out. There we go. It is uploaded. So now we are confident enough to try it for others also. So I'll do it one by one for all of them. And let's see later on. So I won't show you all the part. Just carry on with that. Let me show you this one last. Okay. Let's cut this. Select another file, which is going to be chocolate box for the second one. So chocolate box, open, change the ID to 2 and hit the send button. It's done. You can see chocolate one is also updated and you will get it here also. Fine. So similarly, I'm going to upload all of them one by one. All right, now we are almost to the last part, which is the 14th one. That's gonna be, let's select it out, which is the one, planters. Okay, let's go for planters and open it up. I'll hit the send button and it's done. So all of them are updated. Now let's check it. Great. So everything is done pretty nicely. You can get the data one by one by going to the gifts and hit on the send button. You will get all the records here with their cover image and finally the base URL, and you can check it out. So all of it is done. We have seen how to work with the CRUD operations and also to bulk insert some data. We have seen a whole lot of stuff. So I hope you like this video. Make sure you hit the like button, do subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Look to the whole series if you haven't checked it out. And finally, check out the courses and templates that are there in the description. Check it out, watch it, and let me know what all things you want more. With that being said, I'm going to wrap up the video for today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm going to see you in the next one. Till then, bye.